Hello, we are UATV. My name is Henry Keane. Recently, all the world's media platforms were literally overwhelmed with the footage of Russian speaking men who offended, both in words and action, to Ukrainian family. The incident happened on a train in Switzerland and sparked outrage across the world. What makes it especially and specifically important for me is that this person, this offender, is a bearer of a Latvian passport as well as me. Fortunately, this is the only thing we share in common, and I find it very timely and important to prove to you that being Latvian citizen means way more than being just a bearer of a passport, but results in being someone who shares Ukrainian thirst for freedom. To learn why, I give you my recent interview with His Excellency, Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Ambassador of Latvia to Ukraine, Andrejs Pildegovičs. Ambassador, thank you so very much for your time, for giving us an option and a rare opportunity to walk into the Embassy of Latvia, the Republic of Latvia, and for your time to talk to us. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
I forgot the good morning, right? All right. But the morning is good, not so much Shahid this morning. But tell me, how did you end up as an ambassador at a country at an existential war? Tell us a little bit.
Well, I belong to the independence generation of the Latvian diplomats. I joined foreign service 31 years ago when Latvia just regained independence. And of course, that was a miraculous time when, after 2 generations of the Soviet occupation, both Latvians, Lithuanians, Estonians finally succeeded in peaceful restoration of the independence. And for me, as a scholar of history, it was an extremely gratifying moment to turn the page, to don't to look back to the Soviet time, but to run as fast as possible and to bring Latvia to NATO, European Union, solidify our statehood, and to integrate the whole Baltic region back to European mainstream politics. I largely succeeded in that. I have been ambassador to Washington. I have served in New York for 5 years as my last posting. And I helped Latvia to get elected for the first time to the UN Security Council this summer. And this year I was thinking, what's next? And obviously, for Latvians, for the Balts, for Europeans, Ukraine is the most important. So I volunteered to be posted here. It's my deliberate choice. I'm very happy that my wife supported this choice. And here I am since late August. And I am here to support Ukraine's struggle for freedom, for statehood, for identity, for European path. And I'm representing here Latvian government, but also in very much Latvian people who feel extreme kinship, solidarity with the Ukrainian struggle.
And we feel that I am being one of the Latvian people, born and raised in Latvia, and people are asking me why. And Latvia is at the top 3, if not 5, countries that spend a lot of money, time, and effort in terms of a little country that does so many things for Ukraine. If I'm not mistaken, it's more than 1% of GDP, which is a huge amount for any country, let alone for a small European country. Why?
Well, I think the reason is genuine sense of history and genuine appreciation, understanding of the stakes. What is at stake here in Ukraine? What kind of historical developments are taking place here? You are right, Latvia is a small country. We are around 2 million people. We are 64th parallel north, about 1 hour flight time from Ukraine. Historically, we have had links, but we are, I think, one of the Ukrainian neighbors who have never claimed that we are brothers. We are, unlike other nations, we don't seek that status. But I think historically we have had some interesting parallels. During World War I, about 40,000 Latvians found refuge here in Ukraine. Among them were also my relatives. My grandfather's relatives spent about 4 or 5 years in Kharkiv region. My grandfather ended the World War I in Berdyansk by the Black Sea. So there is this history of mutual support, which to some extent could be compared also this time, because exactly about 40,000-50,000 of Ukrainians have found rescue during current Russian invasion. But broadly speaking, I think Latvians sense very sharply, they feel profoundly that this is the existential struggle for Ukrainian people. This is existential struggle for Russia's neighbors, for their survival. And we have been going through that for a number of centuries. We have been, a number of empires tried to wipe out from their maps. We know about the secret deals, Stalin-Hitler Pact. We know about how important is constant struggle for survival, for keeping identity. And in that sense, this is indeed not just a foreign policy of the government, of the parliament, but kinship, solidarity, support to Ukraine is understood by absolute majority of Latvians in the municipalities, in the parishes, in NGOs, across generations, across ethnic lines. This is felt very, very acutely, and as we have been seeing it is over years now, the struggle goes on for, this is a 4th year of war. There is no any sense of fatigue. There is no any sense of apathy. There is no this kind of any kind of CNN factor that people lose interest in the matters, and the reflection of that is ongoing humanitarian support, ongoing collaboration between line ministries, between security forces. We are one of the strongest supporters of the military support to Ukraine, renovation, energy, etc. So we clearly see that the outcome of this war will shape not only Ukraine's destiny, but it will shape profoundly Europe's map, Europe's security system. And I would go even further. It will shape a global system and environment. As I said, I'm from that generation when we had thought that the era of limited sovereignty is over. We generally embraced the concepts of independence of nations, regardless of the size. And since 2007, we have seen very clearly that Russia has been drifting away deliberately from mainstream European politics. We have seen that since 2007, President Putin has opted as a strategic policy restoration of the Russian Empire in a different shape and a different ideology.
Which is Soviet Empire, is it?
It's a mix. It's a very combustible, very toxic mix of myths, very old-fashioned, I would say, ideas, mixing Soviet history with Russian imperial past, extreme forms of Russian orthodoxy, glorification of the Soviet Union, but most importantly, denial of the full sovereignty to the neighboring states. And in that sense, we see clearly that this is a sort of struggle between light and darkness, about 21st century and 18th, 17th century.
Right.
And in that sense, we we have this sense of history among Latvians. We understand that nothing is for granted. We understand that freedom is not for granted. We understand that alliances are important, but having friends is not enough. We have to do a lot ourselves. And maybe 30 years ago, we could think that Americans will fix something, or European Union or NATO will fix something. Today, we are certain that a lot depends on us ourselves, how we shape our future, how we behave daily, how we invest, with whom we partner.
Right.
And therefore, this is such a priority to merge modern two-way partnership with Ukraine.
Right. Well, I couldn't agree more. I absolutely agree with you. But also the war, to my opinion, have shown the flaws of international institutions just as well. For example, the UN Security Council and the UN in general. And that was in particular and in general. If that will be for you to decide, sir, what would you change?
Well, I think what we have been trying to say and what we have been trying to do is, of course, we have to narrow the gap between ambitious declarations and actual
Actions.
I think, and of course, we have to have clarity also about words. Words really matter. You are journalists, you are in this business, you understand things very, very well. And therefore, since 2007, we have been calling a spade a spade. And be it Russia's aggression against Georgia, be it annexation of Crimea,
Right.
be it, of course, full-fledged invasion, we have been, Latvians, Lithuanians, Estonians, we were very clear that this is Russian neo-imperial policy. These are very dangerous, very consequential statements, and we have to call it aggression, what is taking place by Russia. Aggression, invasion, war. War on neighbors, war on European values, war against, if you want, collective West, but also a war, I would say, aggression against the fundamental principles of the UN Charter, of the foundational principles of the post-World War II international system. And unfortunately, over the last 15 years, many people in the world perceived us as a kind of alarmists, as a kind of, some people were saying that maybe we are Russophobes or maybe we are exaggerating. And even after occupation of Crimea, many colleagues in the West were saying, no, aggression is too strong word. We have to be careful. Maybe this is just a kind of miscarriage of history. This is just an isolated case, etc. And here we are. I think over the last particularly 3.5 years, we have seen clearly how serious is President Putin, how hostile he is to European values, how clear he is about the goal of destruction of neighboring states, denial of Ukrainian cultural identity, denial of Ukrainian language. This is, to Latvians, to the Balts, this is akin to Hitler's methods. And therefore, we are advocating very, very strongly that we have to provide maximum support to Ukraine, militarily, economically, politically. Baltic states, we are strong advocates for Ukraine's NATO membership, European Union membership. We cannot allow Putin to dictate what Ukraine would be, what European or NATO countries can dare or not to dare to decide. If we fall into this trap, that would mean that we are going back to the developments before World War II, and that would mean that the whole construct of post World War II order is shattered, and UN Charter is just a pile of papers without any meaning. What we can do from Latvian point of view, we advocate for action, we advocate for clear words, and we advocate also burden sharing. If we are serious about our words, we have to do something. And just one example, we don't have any illusions about the UN, about the UN Security Council, but we are not just a kind of full of cynicism or full of criticisms, just disregard the structure. We try to do the opposite. We have volunteered to go into the battle. Latvia,
change it.
Yes, Latvia, to change it from the within, by engaging, by involving, by acting. We got elected to the UN Security Council for 2026-2027. We are very happy that the absolute majority of world countries have supported us on that road. Only 10 countries abstained on our election.
I think I can guess.
We know them: Russia, Belarus, North Korea, and a few others. But
Hungary abstained.
We don't know. We don't know for sure. But what is important is that at this forum of 15 countries, Ukraine will have one very dedicated member.
That means a lot.
A country which is coming from this region, so we have the full authority to speak on behalf of the region, and of course we will try to support the Ukraine-related agenda 24/7, political, militarily, humanitarian, nuclear, demining, ecocide, etc., etc. And of course, in that chamber, which has limited oxygen, and of course, when many countries, they are from the Middle East, they want to draw more discussion towards the African countries, talk about Sudan, DRC, Libya, island states. They of course discuss more climate change and sea level rise, etc. We will do our best to keep world attention to Ukraine, to support of Ukraine. And of course, from within, we also will try to work on the working methods of the UN, the UN Security Council, because it cannot be a kind of closed, dark chamber where only 5 permanent members are sort of shaping the world. I think that would be the dream of Putin, to recreate the Yalta or the Iran conferences when 2 or 3 big guys are deciding the fate of 8 billion citizens of the world. We believe that medium countries, small countries, should be present, should have a voice, and should be able to shape the debate and trends within the world. And in that sense, Latvia is learning from the mistakes of the past. Before World War II, our leaders thought that let's better be territorial, let's better concentrate on our own welfare.
Right.
Let's not mess around, and maybe by being quiet, by being non-aligned, by being invisible, cold winds of the world just pass over, and we will be able to survive. That policy failed miserably. Our countries were destroyed by secret pacts. Our country was not invited to San Francisco conference for that reason. And we experienced mass deportations, we experienced Holocaust, we lost 1/3 of our population. I would say we have experienced a kind of triple rape, twice by Soviets, once by Nazis. And therefore we say never again. Never again, and never again to Russian domination, never again to Russian occupation. And answering to your question, this is why we are here. This is why we are supporting Ukraine to as much as we can and for as long as we can.
Ambassador, do you have the feeling that Russia is trying out the boundaries of what is possible in not only in Ukraine? It is obvious it's a criminal aggression and invasion, nothing else. But Russian drones flying over Poland, Russian jets flying over German frigates, military depots in Britain ablaze. Do you believe that Europe is aware of what is going on and is ready to deter Russia militarily when the time comes? And will the time come?
Well, I think we are getting there, but of course, a lot of for some of the allies, this waking up has been a kind of slow, and of course, I think we have what we are seeing now last few weeks. I think to some extent, Russia is trying different tricks to maybe to intimidate some people. They are also trying to make us busy ourselves, and this is to some extent also could be a tactic, maybe to slow down support to Ukraine, because they create problems in other different flanks, in other different regions, and therefore, of course, attention of politicians or military or strategists can be shifting somewhere. We see that Russia is not changing fundamentally their objectives, their plans, but our answer is basically the same, the following: more partnership within the European Union, more partnership within NATO, and more partnership with Ukraine, and merging our resources together as much as possible.
Ambassador, do you believe Russia has a chance to change to the better in any way?
I don't believe that it's possible under the current leadership. Of course, I cannot, as a historian, I am rather pessimistic,
Right.
but of course I cannot, who I am to deny the future, better future for 130, 40 million people. It would be largely, of course, up to Russian people and up to their leadership. But under current circumstances, we are not optimistic. We clearly advocate for accountability measures. We support ICC. In that regard, we support creation of the special tribunal on the Russian crime of aggression. We believe strongly that the mother crime, which has led to this war, should be addressed, and the top leaders who have masterminded this aggression should face trial. We believe that this creation should proceed as fast as possible. Of course, we also support investigations of individual crimes. We support the measures to document these crimes against Ukrainian warriors, against Ukrainian civilians. We support this impartial documentation of these crimes. In that sense, we believe that international organizations are important. They provide important evidence, important materials,
Right.
which could be used by prosecutors, by the judges. and we support that work as much as we can, and therefore the short answer, with the current leadership, we don't see much hope, but probably I have to be diplomatic, never say never.
Exactly. Also, you've been very diplomatic and very balanced. I was amongst first journalists in the world, just happened so to be in Bucha. So I've seen a pit in the ground full of dead bodies, men, women, children, for God's sake. And I know someone there still living in Latvia. They were my friends. Well, at least I thought that they were my friends. And they never called me, or it happens that from time to time when I come to Riga, back to Latvia, then I meet them just for some reason. I don't know still why. And they still don't believe that I'm telling the truth. They do not believe that Bucha happened. They believe that Ukraine is lying and was set up, and even knowing me for more than 30 years, they still believe that I am spoiled by Ukrainian propaganda and not them by Russian propaganda, not believing that there were a pit in the ground full of dead bodies and their hands were tied behind their backs. I was helping to put these bodies in the black bags. And it's kind of a social, schizophrenic phenomenon. I understand that the waking up is maybe awful, because then you have to wake up to the feeling and to understanding that you were helping a fascist. As simple as that. Russism. To help murdering people. Do you believe that on a governmental level? Yes. Tribunal? Yes. Accountability for the top government that masterminded that criminal aggression? Yes. But do you believe that on a level where that accountability is not impossible, is not impossible, but is definitely personal? Do you think that can ever happen? That people can understand what they have done and that admit that they've done wrong?
You mean in the Baltics or in Russia?
I don't believe, isn't it the same? Because the people that are not believing that Bucha ever happened, and they believe that, not to Latvian, they think that they're like they are fascists. That's what they call them now, even knowing that Russia is what it is doing in Ukraine. Isn't it the same? Isn't it like a small Russia in Latvia? Russian-minded people, not just Russian talkers, because I talk Russian with my mom, but it doesn't mean that I support in any way what Russia does, because I talk English and German with my son, and we know we've been there, we've been in the world, and I've seen with my own eyes. I have seen it with my own eyes, and these people have seen nothing. They've only seen the television, and they believe that more than me. So how can we treat that phenomenon? I know that I'm talking not to ambassador now, I'm asking more a historian, but is there a way maybe to treat that?
Well, I think when it comes to Russia, I think that of course Putin is Russia's leader. He is leading this war, but regrettably, I believe that quite significant majority of Russian population is supporting this war, and this is a fact. And speaking in historical parallels, I believe that we are witnessing something comparable with the Nazi war, Nazi crimes, when people knew about the crimes, but they were kind of silent bystanders, and some were participants, and people took this position deliberately. They pretended that they didn't know, and then for 2 generations after the war, we have seen this process of denazification and the process of reflection and self-search. How did it happen, and how enlightened people of Germany could tolerate that? I think that speaking about a different future for Russia, inevitably Russian people will have to go through this soul searching, and I hope I will witness it during my lifetime. I am not absolutely certain, but I hope that something might have happened, I remember quite vividly late 80s when all of a suddenly with perestroika and with the changes of Gorbachev, we have seen some rays of hope when Soviet leadership of that time started to admit crimes against neighboring states, be it Czechoslovakia or against Hungary, etc. So I personally have seen this, so I hope that one way or another that might happen. When it comes to the ethnic Russians living in the Baltics, I think these people are not very homogeneous.
Well, who knows?
They are not. They're very diverse in the outlook, in the way of thinking, in the way of behaving to the Russia's war against Ukraine. I know quite a number who are supporting Ukraine,
Yes.
And have been doing this from day one, including business people, including people who donate their funds. As you might know, on Latvian television, on a daily basis, there are ads advocating for some fundraising for different causes. So it's still going on, and people are quite passionate for that. Before coming here, I took my military reservist course for 3 weeks in the Latvian Buds in Alūksne region.
Oh, I know.
And I was very happy that in my unit there were not only ethnic Latvians, there were ethnic Russians, there were ethnic Ukrainians, there were in terms of denominations, there were Muslims as well living in Latvia. So for me, it was quite encouraging to see that ethnic minorities or religious minorities, they also embrace the idea of volunteering for their freedom, for the protection of the country, for freedom, and for the values which glue us together. But you are right. There are people across generations who are stuck with this Soviet mentality and or neo-Putinist mentality. Very, very difficult to explain and to treat and or to deal or to argue with them. Some of them, to the elderly people, you might say that it's incurable. It's pretty much they probably will not change their approach.
But the young people, they're all young people, quite young. I mean, 30 years old, a little bit over maybe.
Well, this is true. Maybe this is not the most sizable group, but
No, so.
but this is just another reason to understand how infectious, if I may, is this neo-Putinist ideology.
Absolutely.
That is, it's infectious. It should be treated as a threat to democracy. It should be treated as a threat to our European way of life. As you know, in Latvia, we had to take some more kind of stringent measures in curbing Russian propaganda. We had to be welcoming it. We had to be more strict than overall pan-European kind of discourse in terms of showing Russian infringements in our media space. We have been uncovering Russian trolls. We have been more active in terms of the promoting of Latvian language training, etc., as a part of our citizenship process, building inclusive societies, and of course exposing Russian crimes, to telling the truth about what is taking place inside Russia, but also what Russians are doing in the neighboring states. We believe it's very important. We cannot take a kind of sterile position that
Well, it's impossible, is it?
or pretend that these problems will disappear by themselves. This is dangerous. We see that President Putin is obsessed with this idea of conquering Ukraine, obsessed with this idea of rebuilding Russia as a neo-imperial power which will dominate Eurasia, if you will. And this is against the core principles of European reconstruction after World War II. So it is existential threat, and we believe it has to be understood not only by the neighboring states on the eastern flank, but it should be understood by everyone, from Lisbon till Malta, till Oslo, etc. And also, I'm telling this to. I have been 5 years ambassador in New York, and I've been telling this,
You can imagine.
to friends in other regions. Look, if Russian blueprint will be used by Venezuela in Latin America. Countries like Suriname and Guyana, they already know, what a petrostate, militarized petrostate, what kind of problems might create. And actually, they have laid claims on the territory of neighboring states. Same things might happen in Asia. They might happen in Africa and in other parts of the world. So we believe that in this sense, Ukraine is fighting for survival, fighting for Europe, but this is also a fight for democracy, for core principles of the UN Charter.
Ambassador, thank you so very much. A last question, for I know your schedule is quite tight. Do you believe that Russia will attack NATO country?
I don't think that Russia will go for a kind of full-fledged invasion, at least not in the foreseeable future. But we have seen that Russia has been stepping up provocations, hybrid threats. And I'm pretty certain that they will look for new forms, new technological forms. So they will try maybe different regions. They might try different tactics. They will try to distract. They will try to divide. They will try to degrade our capabilities. Of course, they are trying also to drive the wedge between Europe and North America. Quite classical tactics. And we see that they are stepping up their military budget. They are not. They have quite devoted to sacrifice millions of lives, billions of dollars for this old-fashioned obsession for control and power and domination. Therefore, we believe that we have to push back with the same determination, with the same resources, and with the same force and conviction. I am optimist by nature. I'm realist by training. And certainly here in Ukraine, I will do my best to support Ukraine, to support its struggle of its people. And I certainly believe that Ukraine is part of Europe, part of our transatlantic space. And I hope that accession talks with the European Union will start as soon as possible. And within my tenure here, we will make, as we say, some irreversible steps in this direction.
I will be more than happy to observe that and even maybe take part of some of your activities here. But that's another question. Thank you so very much for your time, for your experience, for being a staunch supporter of freedom for understanding, sir. That the freedom is a core human value. Without it, nothing happens. There are no human values. And I can also reassure you that Ukrainians that I've met all across Ukraine and in the world, in New York just as well, and even at Vernadsky Station in Antarctica, they all welcome someone from Latvia. And this is so warming and heartwarming thing that I'm proud of that.
Thank you so much. Together we will prevail and we will move forward. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. My name is Andrejs Pildegovičs and we are UATV. Diev sveti Latviju. Slava Ukraini.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.